Every academic, politician, educationists and students in this country are currently talking about the national education policy. So today we have with us Dr. K Kasturirangan, the chairperson of the NEP Drafting Committee, and he was also the former ISRO chief. Welcome, sir. So, talking about the current national education policy, we've been having a lot of praise as well as criticism to it, because we have had the SFI and ISA and a few other left-back student organizations holding protests asking to withdraw the national education policy. So how have you been dealing with these responses?
Well, this is not the policy of any individual. First of all, one should know. This is the policy of people who know their subjects. And these are people whom we call as educationists, academicians, policy makers, strategists, and things of that kind. People who go deep into issues, like to look at the pros and cons and understand scientific basis, and then evolve, and able to understand what is going wrong, ability to analyze the way we need to correct it. These are the kind of people who have contributed to this policy. So first of all, even though the opinion is sought across the spectrum of the public opinion in different parts of the country and from different groups, the policy itself is not created with any specific targets in view other than the good education for the youth of India. That is the main thing. So we should understand that if you do this kind of a thing, if there are differences, it can come from various reasons. One, we have genuinely missed something, which we can certainly take, reflect it properly, analyze it and incorporate, number one. Second could be that it is that there is some level of familiarity of certain areas on which we didn't have that much of privilege, but that person who is doing it, we can study that also, and if that area is important enough, we can also take that into account. Then there are people who skim through this kind of 400 pages, and quickly there is already a mindset. And with that mindset, they skim through this and immediately they will create some kind of comment, because comments for the sake of comments. This we have been able to separate it out and give its place where it deserves. Then there are people who work on this because they want to score a point with other political systems. So there are political differences. So they will try to, if you say yes, the other person has to say no. Then only the answer is complete. So those kind of a thing we can easily find out whatever the word it is. So there is and the last ones are the ones who wanted to be in the picture, but they were not in the picture. Suddenly when this policy is raking up a lot of interest among the public, they also want to be in the picture. So, and the only way they can be in the picture either to say it's a good policy and we endorse it, or if they want to show their own uniqueness, they can even say that this is not the policy and that we should have done it better, with no rationale. So we are able to separate out all this, the milk from the water, and make sure that the best of the inputs are still considered. All I'm trying to say is among the 200,000 inputs which we got, we have been able to really get a lot of useful things, but they all were not of a significant value to rattle the policy itself. But 70, according to the people who have now gone into it from MHRD and the minister himself, more than 80% is acceptable. The 20% can be retuned, and some of them can be completely modified, very small. So this shows the country's acceptance. A country as diverse and plural as India has gone to the extent of saying that more than 80% of this particular policy is okay for us, and cutting across the spectrum of ideologies, religion, culture, language, whatever you want to call it. That is what you should see. Right. So I am quite satisfied with the kind of response the country has given to this policy. I am not surprised only because you consult everybody who is important in this country. So you don't leave out somebody's opinion if he's competent enough to give that opinion. So I'm not worried that this will face any kind of opposition, because we are not doing it in a small group or a small agenda. And I should also say, in fairness to the present government, Government never intervened. They never gave us any guideline. They never told us you do this or you don't do this. This is our policy of the committee and fully supported and enriched by all whom we went to and consulted, whether it is individuals, groups, organizations, or other kinds of institutions. Everybody.
Okay.
So that should answer your question, because the just one party or a one small segment of that raising this thing can be only attributed to one reason. After all, doing all this.
Right.
And they never, if at all, if I have got a serious problem, I am serious about a particular thing, they can come and talk to you.
Right.
We have got this. That also doesn't happen. You go to the paper directly and burn something. That is not the way to burning and criticizing openly to make yourself felt is not the way to do this.
Got it.
It's a very serious matter for the country and in the next 30, 40 years.
Right.
So we are not dealing with the petty things. We are thinking of a big thing for this country.
Yeah.
Present government is very serious about this kind of a policy for taking the country forward. So let us support it. That is more important.
Yeah. And also, you look at the policy, it has a lot of significant features. Like it talks about the education of transgender children. It talks about setting up an NRF, a National Research Foundation, and a lot of other things which actually makes it stand out. So I was wondering how much time and effort did it actually went into it to prepare.
Tremendous. I want to tell you one thing. When we were in the thick of about 6-8 months, normally it ramps up like this in the activity. Then it goes a peak, stays in the peak for a few periods, and then slowly ramp down. This is the pattern of any activity.
Right.
We did it over 2 years.
Okay.
Intermediate 1 year in the 2 years. It's very demanding. I lost my health a little bit in that thing.
Okay.
Because it is continuously, it keeps telling you, and if I am having it, my members also, other colleagues also are having it. And some of the members who are a part of also drafting. We will discuss it, we will think about it, how to formulate it, what to identify, what to put emphasis. And there is from Manjul Bhargav, who is a professor of mathematics at Princeton, who was a member of the planning of the drafting committee as well as a member of the main committee.
Yeah.
He used to be sometimes in US, he used to come several times on his own to India to participate in. That is the seriousness of that person. Such a good person, bright person. He is there. Here people like Anurag Bahl, Ramachandran, Sridhar, MK Sridhar, and the lady who was a former Vice Chancellor of SNDT University. They will work here. You work on a 12-year basis here, 12-hour basis here, you work on 12-hour basis in US, or 24/7 you work. This is how for 6-8 months. That was the intent. Then whenever you do certain things, then it comes to the main committee, we start discussing it, churning it, correcting it. So this is how the whole system was working. And besides that, we also keep getting outside inputs. So you have to also study that.
Right.
It was not a small task. It has been an extremely demanding task. And it was not demanding purely in terms of writing and improving English. It needed tremendous amount of intellectual inputs.
Right. And what is your vision for Indian education in the next 20 years?
India should be at the top of it all. India should enjoy the same prestige that it enjoyed among the Committee of Nations during the years when Nalanda University was, Takshashila University, where thousands of people from various countries came to India to study.
Right.
Buddhist monasteries were there. Chinese came and studied here. And as one Chinese ambassador to US told about India of those times, that India conquered China for 10,000 years without sending a single soldier across the border, but conquered culturally. That was the greatness of India. And in the modern context, you have to translate that.
Right.
You are not translating that India, but in the modern context, the prestige, the position, and the kind of importance that India had, whether it is knowledge, whether it is prosperity, and fulfilling the aspirations of its citizens. I think India was a model country those years. And that, I think, is the objective of an education, a knowledge society. It is not the question of whether I become prosperous, very rich in the overnight. The question is, am I happy, my mind-wise? Do I realize what I want to do? Is there something fullness about my life? Ultimately, that is what a human searches for. So, in this, on one side, it will address the questions of all the modern needs, jobs, changes in jobs, making a decent living, you have a healthy thing, making sure that your effort doesn't spoil the environment, all that you will do.
Yeah.
On the other side, there is this realization that you have achieved something and you have a satisfaction in life, and that gives you the best of all the worlds that you are looking
Right.
for. So that is the purpose of the education. So we have kept that in mind, and which essentially means putting all the old value systems into a new perspective of what India should be in the 21st century.
Right. But will that vision be possible with the current expenditure?
There is nothing that is impossible for this country. The question is resolved. And
Okay.
one part of it, the resolution should come from the government. But there is a substantial thing which can be coming from the various institutions. You had Shastra University here.
Yeah.
They have on their own doing lot of things in education. You
Right.
have a university, I know, a Simprimji University. It's a model university in terms of providing new ideas in
Yeah,
education. Go to Ashoka University in the north. Tremendous in liberal education. So, if you have, and then many of the IITs are doing well, but they can improve it. ISERs are doing well. AIMS are doing well as institutions. Law schools are world class today. So anywhere we are going and seriously putting money, doing research and doing good education, we are succeeding. So we have enough examples of various aspects of education which need to be scaled up, improved, and brought to the world standards wherever it can be.
Okay.
So that is well within our beings. Don't think that we have already achieved. We are not fighting in the dark. We have already achieved quite a lot in education, and we are trying to build on that. And we need to make also this modern knowledge, science, neural sciences, cognitive sciences. They are all introducing new dimension on one side. Then areas like artificial intelligence, fourth generation industrialization, they add new challenges and new possibilities. That is the other part of it. Then we are a part of a global economy, and therefore knowledge economy becomes very important. And we also have to have that prestige of being a nation which is an ideal knowledge society. So we need to have all that. It is very much there. There is a tradition, there is a past, there is a present, and there is also all this. If you put together, there is a future which is well within our means. You youngsters should aspire for that. Never ask a question, can we do it, can we do it? You can spend the whole life thinking about can we do it. But the question is, we shall do it should be the thing. And as I suggested in the end of my talk, Sarabhai said that when people ask, should we do space? Why do we do why is so risky? It's a lot of money. And he said it's not the question of whether we should do space or not anymore. It is a question of whether we can afford not to do it. So that is how the education should be seen in this country.
All right.
We have to. And it is possible. We have the resources. And don't every time blame the government that they are not supporting. I think they will come out with that. They have never stopped supporting good causes in this thing. We got 10,000 only for a human space flight mission, 10,000 crores. So you propose something, take the country's position to a higher level. Here the money with the government will give. Modi ji said, take it and do it. See, you should create those kind of situations for the government to take good decisions.
Right.
So let us not only see one side of the whole thing. Let us look at the totality of it and try to upgrade the society itself in its totality. And to me, that is a very good, it should be a very difficult task, but every individual, if he consciously tries for it, it's going to happen. Automatically it will happen.
All right. I think that's about it. And thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Nice. I wish Indian Express also the very best.
Thank you.
You are a very strong and good leader in Chaulaji. So let me see a lot of good things happening. All the best.